there we go, guys, part 2. That's the food processor vanilla tray bake. That's going in the oven now. And what I love about this cake is when it comes out the oven, it's got a top, a smooth top, golden, but the taste of it, just the top, if you slice the top across, I'll show you in it, and you eat that top, oh God, it's just delicious. Don't know why, only happens with this cake. All cake tops are good, but this one is amazing. So I'll put that in now for 30 minutes and we'll see how it is after 30 minutes. Might need 35. If it's nice and golden on top, and I test it with a cocktail stick, if it comes out wet, I'll leave it in for another 5 minutes with some tin foil over the top of it, because top will be done. If it's dry, I'll just bring it out after 30 minutes. But I would really, really consider making this cake. If you've no food processor, you can make it in your mixer, no problem. But I find it much easier and much more convenient to shove everything in my food processor and make it this way. Thanks, guys. I'll show you later. Right, whilst that's in the oven, I'm on a roll with my food processor. So I'm going to do some raspberry buns in my food processor. This is my best friend, my food processor. Now then, you can, grease and line a tray, a baking tray for raspberry buns. The reason I use the food processor is I've got arthritis in all my joints, my fingers, and this one at the moment is absolute agony. Can you see it's swollen, how swollen it is? I do wear a splint on it, but not when I'm baking. I wear a splint during the day, and it does help, and I take a lot of paracetamol, but it's so sore. So I'm using, you can do this, like I say, by hand. You can rub in the ingredients or whatever, but I'm doing them in here. So you want 100 grams of butter, margarine, baking spread, perfect for cakes, which is what I'm using. 200 grams of self-raising flour. These are raspberry buns. They're also known as jam dots, thumbprint cakes. I call them raspberry buns. I'm going to do that again because I think the scale was a bit out. It is slightly. Got to have an accurate scale, haven't you? ,200 grams of self-raising flour. Now, if you're doing them by hand, you'd be rubbing these in together through your finger and thumb till you get like a breadcrumb consistency, which is what the food processor will do for me. This is going to do that for me now. There you go. Now you're going to add your sugar. Even doing this is agony. So you want 100 grams of caster sugar. And Now you're going to sprinkle that in. And if you're doing it by hand, you're going to stir the sugar through your butter and flour. Your butter and flour. Mix that. Make sure that's mixed in. You've stirred it through. Now, you want 1 egg, lightly whipped. Pop that in. Half a teaspoon vanilla extract, and 1 tablespoon of milk. And again, if you're doing this by hand, just rub everything in with your hands, mix everything so it comes together into a dough. Done. All that remains is to bake it. Well, to add some jam to it, of course. If you're doing raspberry buns, you need a few tablespoons of raspberry jam. Now you're going to get, like so, start a little bit of dough out, pop that on your baking tray, space them apart because they will spread in the oven. I'm going to do a couple of treat boxes. When you've rolled all your little balls out, you can either use a teaspoon or your thumb to make an indent. And this is where you're going to put your jam for your raspberry buns. Let's pop a teaspoon of raspberry jam in the indent. These are one of my mum's favourites. Well, everybody likes them actually. But Mum likes them the most, I think.